let's go back to the OMB hat that you've worn in the past. There's a lot of news going on right now in Washington about the role of OMB, the new director there, Russ Vought, and the fight over what's called the Impound Control Act. Basically, the news is that President Trump, thinks that the executive branch of government has more authority over the appropriation process than has traditionally been recognized. And we're about to have, looks like, a big fight that's going to end up in court over whether the president has the right to delay and or refuse to spend money appropriated by Congress. This goes back to the big fight under President Nixon and Congress passing what was called the Impound Control Act, which basically created a process for the president to tell Congress that he didn't want to spend money that they had appropriated. And I think that the argument coming from OMB Director Vought and the president is that the Impound Control Act is unconstitutional and that Congress cannot limit the president's authority to spend or not spend money. This appears to be it's a new, I guess, a new angle on an old fight. I mean, there've been throughout history, there have been arguments or cases or examples where presidents have chosen not to spend money in isolated cases, but this appears to be something much bigger and broader. How do you think this is going to play out?
Steve, I looked at this, of course, way back. I was in the government when the Impoundment Control Act was created in '74. And there's I was at GAO, and there's an provision in there that concerned GAO at that time, too. But I looked at it, of course, I lived it firsthand when I was at OMB because it was my job to coordinate the rescission and impoundment proposals that came from the various administrations to the Congress and how to implement them. And then I looked at some detail about what Vought and his general counsel said at and when in the first term of Trump and what they're saying now. And I am not a lawyer, I'm a budget guy, but I will be absolutely amazed if the court decides in Vought's favor. The reason why, and by the way, when I explain it to people I know here, I say it's a very simple argument in one sense. What the Vought and the president are saying is that appropriations are ceilings, and what the Congress says that they're floors. By ceilings, what the administration view is that you can't spend more than a certain amount, and what by floors is that you have to spend a certain amount. To me, it'd be amazing if they go along with the administration view, because if you look at the law that was created in '74, they had specific provisions, detailed, explicit provisions that say, okay, Mr. President, if you want to spend less, you can. But you've got to get the Congress's agreement to do it, because our Constitution says no monies may leave the Treasury except as an act of Congress. So can you withhold, impound money? You can for up to 45 days. Then within that period, you need to get the Congress's approval. And they have these mechanisms of how the OMB, who takes the lead, submits information to the Congress, and then the Congress makes a decision. It wasn't, as the Trump administration is presenting, unilateral power on the part of the Congress to prevent impoundments or withholding of funds. No, they allowed it explicitly. The law allows it explicitly. So to me, the argument that it's unconstitutional isn't right. In fact, it's exactly flipped on its head. It only reinforces the Constitution. You can't spend money, no money's money leave the Treasury except as an act of Congress. By saying Congress says money must leave, you can disagree with it. You can propose an impoundment. You can propose a rescission, but you have to propose it and then get Congress to agree with it. So I am of view that I'll find it hard to believe that the courts won't go along with the Impoundment Control Act.